name is Demisha and I'm one of the CELPIP trainers at Aspire Square. Today we are going to discuss about the writing task 2 of the CELPIP examination. So let's have a quick look. So guys, in the writing module, overall there are only 2 tasks and it is very important that we prioritize both of them equally. So here are some instructions about the task 2 of what exactly we need to take care of. And as you can see here, that it is very important to look after the timer on the right top because it will keep us aware about how much time are we left to finish up the task. And as we can see here that we would have around 26 minutes to finish up the entire task 2. And it is also very much required to be aware that once we go next, we cannot go back in the same question. So please make sure that you attempt this entire task being very careful and you don't click next unless you have completed the task 2. So let's have a look at the task 2. As we can see here on the right top, there is a timer which says 26 minutes. And if we see the topic, it is divided into 2 parts. But it is very important that we read all the details that are mentioned. So if you'll see, then on the right side, it is clearly mentioned what we have to do in this task. So technically, it is all about choosing an option. As you can see, we have 2 options. And we need to write a response in between 150 to 200 words upon any of the one that we choose to write upon. But before straight away moving on to choose an option, we should always be careful to read the information that is presented on the left side. So if you notice, then there's a detailed description in multiple sentences about what this task is going to be all about. So let's have a look at what the information is. So it clearly says that your town is thinking to build a new railway station near your apartment. A survey is being conducted in your community to find out if the local residents support or oppose the project. If the project is approved, taxes would increase by 15% to pay for the project. The town's chief estimates that the project will create 1,500 new jobs in the area. So, once you have understood this entire information, what all impact is it going to have upon, we need to have a look at the both options. So if you see in option A, it says, I think we should let a railway station built near apartment. And in option B, it says, I think the authorities should find another location to build the railway station. So you need to have valid reasons which you think why is any of them very much required to be done, whether the railway station should be built near your apartment or should they find another location, because you need to justify whichever option you choose to write upon. Okay, now let's take a look at certain steps which we have to be careful of before and while we try to write a response of. So the first thing we need to do is we need to read the question very much cautiously. And after reading the question, we need to make sure that we have structurized and analyzed our ideas. And to do this, we need to have some time. So as you can see, the first thing we need to do is choose an option. So while choosing an option, it is very much required that we understand what will be the pros and what will be the cons of the particular option. And based on that, we need to understand and analyze whatever ideas are we going to frame in our response. Once you have done that, you need to frame the initial statement, which clearly describes why you have chosen that particular option. So if you have chosen the one, say for example option A, Then you need to describe your first sentence that should describe why have you chosen option A or vice versa. After that, you need to make sure that all your purposes are described. So you need to have around 2 or 3 purposes at least that should be described in detail in your body paragraph. So you need to begin a new paragraph to describe each of your purposes in detail, and you need to also maintain the sustainability with every purpose along with the particular features, because without them you will not be able to cover up the required word limit. So please take care of all these points while you move from your introductory paragraph to the body paragraphs. Then after, you need to also have a finishing sentence. That will be your closing. So you need to frame one statement that outlines your answer and it leads to a distinct ending, because what you have started must be ended. Otherwise, it will be considered as an incomplete one. So a finishing sentence is a must. Then you need to make sure that once you have written your entire response, you should spend about 2 or 3 minutes out of the total time to proofread your response. And while proofreading, you need to take care of these 4 points. The first one, do you come across any errors that you should rectify? Because if there are errors in your response and if you don't rectify them, they are surely going to reduce your points. Second, are the purposes structured? Because many a times what happens is, when we are framing a response and when we are writing the same, many a times we end up jumbling up the structures, okay? And many a times the purposes are not clearly defined. So for that, please make sure that your purposes are structured always. Third one, did you utilize various phrases and words? As you can see in some of the candidates' responses, they end up repeating the words over and over again, which is not very much good. So I always suggest, try to use various phrases to describe your ideas. And then the fourth one, which says, did you respond each aspect of the questions? Now, as I said, if in case you don't respond to all the aspects, then the entire response will not look a complete one. So please make sure that you respond to all the aspects of the questions. So this is how a sample answer may look like. As you see on the bottom, there is a word count which says 195. And that's definitely within the word limit of 200 words. So it is not compulsory that you have to write 200 words in your response to score better marks. Rather, any number that you write in between 150 to 200 is completely safe. So let's have a look at all the paragraphs. As you see, the first paragraph describes why I have chosen the particular option. And you should always try to frame around 2 sentences, at least, maybe 2 complex sentences in your first paragraph. Then, if you look at the body in detail, which I have divided into 1, 2, and 3 paragraphs, if you notice, I have justified all the purposes in the body paragraph. And the last but not the least, finishing sentence. So, as I said, what you have started, it must be ended, so that the response looks a complete one. And then after, you should always spend some time to proofread, as I suggested before. Because in this writing task, there will be a spell checker on. So if in case you were to write something that doesn't belong to English language, that will be underlined. So please take care of all these things. They surely help. Now, here we have some important things that we need to take care of. And as you see in the list of aspects, there are four main aspects, where the first one says vocabulary. So now, if you look at vocabulary, then on what basis will the vocabulary be assessed in the writing task 2, for which we have got four main elements. The first one is precision and accuracy. We need to make sure that whatever words we are using, we should be precise always, and we should always make sure that they are accurate enough. Second, suitable uses of phrases and words. We need to try to use some phrases that are relevant to the situation. The third one, word selection. It is very important that we choose the right words to frame the response. The last one is range of phrases and words. So yes, as I said, it is very much required to use a range of phrases, because if I just keep on framing simple sentences, or if I keep on repeating the words from the question, that might not be great, because the parameter on which I'll be given marks in the category of vocabulary will be that question is this: can you use the vocabulary naturally, and what is the range of it? So if you can use the vocabulary naturally, and if you have the range of it, that's a good thing. Second important aspect is task fulfillment. Whereas the first one is word count. As I just shown you, 195 words. So yeah, word count should always be within the limit. Second is relevance. How much relevant is your response regarding to the question? Third is the tone. Many a times when people end up framing a response, they try to use some words which seems to be a little rude. So for that, try to use a polite language. It may be of much help. And the last but not the least, completeness. So yes, a response which is complete is always a better one. And as we see in the assisting questions category, the question is, did you use an appropriate tone? As I said, and how well did you follow the instructions? So all the instructions must be clearly followed and in an organized manner, so that we can score really great amount of marks in the task fulfillment. The third aspect is coherence and content. Yes, here you need to make sure that the ideas that you are using to frame your response, they must be qualitative, and they should also be supported with details and examples, because the number of ideas definitely matter, and organization of the same is always required. So if you take care of all these four elements, then you can score great amount of marks in the content category. And for that, you need to remember this question, that how well are your ideas developed and organized? Because it's not just about writing a number of ideas unless they are not developed. And last but not the least, the fourth aspect is readability. So here, you need to make sure that you take care of punctuations, you look up the spellings. Although I said that there will be a spell checker, but many a times what happens is we end up writing some words which are correct as per the English language, but they don't fit in the best when they are used in a sentence. So please take care of that. Second is paragraphing and format. Please make sure that you frame multiple paragraphs. As I said, introductory paragraph will be the first one, then the body paragraph with 3 paragraphs, and then the last one. So overall, a response with 4 paragraphs is a good one. Next is sentence structure and grammar. So yes, please make sure that the sentences you frame in your response, they must be structurized. Grammar should not be a problem. Please take care that you frame sentences using appropriate grammar always. And the fourth one is transitions and connectors. So please take care of using the required and appropriate connectors whenever you try to merge up two sentences or more than two sentences in your paragraphs. And yes, do remember, whether to score better marks in readability, you will be judged based on how easy is it to understand and read your response. So if it is easy and if it is understandable to read your response, then you can score good amount of marks in readability. So the first thing is you need to make sure that you arrange your ideas, and please make sure you don't jump around, among points, because many a times, just in order to finish the response within time, people end up jumping from one idea to another without even having the complete idea of using and framing that response. So please take care of this and make sure that you make multiple paragraphs and transitions to indicate the new ideas. Of course, whenever you move from one to the another idea, you must make sure that the first idea should be a completed one, and paragraphs will help you and will also help the assessor to understand that you are framing a new idea. And then make sure that you generate your ideas with specific information that is relevant to the topic. So yes, all your details that you mention in your response, they must be relevant to the information that is given in the question, and that will be helpful to frame a response. As we see here, it is very important that we select phrases and words that suits the situation. So say for example, if the situation is maybe a very formal one, then do take care that you don't use any casual language and no short forms, please. It's not like the way you speak to your fella. So for example, as I've used the word that wanna, gonna, you guys, short forms such as just writing the you or using any kind of emojis, that's not going to help in order to score well. So please take care of this one as well. And yes, as I said, do not repeat too many words right from the question, because if you repeat the words, then that's not going to be good enough to score better marks. So, say for example, as we see here on the right side, there is an example of the repetition of words from the question itself. So, like it says that the town is thinking to build a new railway station near your apartment. I think we should let the railway station built near your apartment because it would increase the taxes by 15% and so on. But no. That is the same information given in the question itself. Try to rephrase. Try to use your own ideas. And that will help. That will even work. So, this is the reason why we always suggest to avoid too many words from the question itself. Rather use synonyms if required. And yes, it is very much required to be aware and direct with your word choice. You don't need to move, you know, you don't need to, just keep on revolving around using the words from here to there and just frame unnecessary sentences. No. Write about particular places, people, and things if required. Make sure that you try to be innovative, enlarge the words and details in the question, of course, because it is good to frame complex sentences. And if in case you have to repeat something, then please try to use synonyms or pronouns. As I use the word, that try to mention it in another manner. So for example, we have a few examples for them. Like say for example, if I want to write the community ground, okay, then instead of just using the word community ground from the question, maybe I should give it a name. Maybe I can say that the Decker ground or Glenview ground or I can even give a random address, maybe the Turtle Ground on 8th Boulevard. So try to generate such ideas. Similarly, say for example, if you want to use the words such as our chief, so instead of that, maybe you can give the person a name, right? Maybe you can say Mr. Martin, or maybe if there is any kind of a senior person you're writing about, you can even name them. Say for example, the HR manager or whosoever it is, and yeah, simultaneously you can also say that art director or whatever, depends upon what the question is exactly. So it is always necessary that you try to rephrase, you try to create some ideas whenever you are framing the response. It will always be of much help, and you will be able to score better marks in your writing task 2 of your CELPIP examinations writing module. I hope the information has been relevant and helpful to you. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please do stay tuned. We shall be coming up with many more such videos. And if in case you're waiting to get some updates regarding CELPIP, PTE or IELTS coaching, please contact us on www.aspiresquare.com, and you can surely call us upon 8866 880707. Take care. Have a nice day.